The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Greetings.
And Joanne Mercier. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Dom.
So before we get started, I do want to mention a few things. First, I want you to check out another show on the StarQuest Network I'm sure you'll enjoy called PlayStation Portable, which is a prayer opportunity as we enter the Christmas season. It's a great time to start praying the Divine Office if you don't do that already, and pray along with us with PlayStation Portable. Also, stick around to the end of the show. Well, no, actually, I'll tell you right now, but a little confused on how I'm going to edit the show. I'll tell you right now, there's a new show that we've developed, and that's coming out starting January 1st called Vatican II in a Year. Every day this year, you'll get a little chunk of the documents of Vatican II from Father Matthew Schneider, and it's going to be a great opportunity over the next 365 days, because it's not a leap year next year, 365 days of 2025. The 50th anniversary of the final documents of Vatican II, I think is what it was, or the 60th. I think it's 60th. Wow, I'm getting old. The 60. It's anyway, it's an opportunity for where he'll share a bit of the documents of Vatican II every day. You're going to learn, what do they really say? You hear people talk about it all the time. So what do the documents really say? So definitely check that out. You can find that at sqpn.com/Vatican. PlayStation Portable is at sqpn.com/PSP. So, the announcement I wanted to make, or the program note I wanted to make, is that this will be our last show for 2024. Next week was Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and then the week after that is January 2nd. None of us want to record on Christmas Day or New Year's Day, so you'll have to bear with us. There's not going to be any tech news of note anyway, or if there is, we'll save it up till afterward. So you'll be able to bear without us for a couple of weeks as we wrap things up for the year. And so we'll be back on January 9th is when our next show will drop. So that's it. Today's topic, this is our third and final week this year doing our Christmas gift guide. We've had 2 weeks of this already, and now it's ladies' night, as I like to say.
Yes, it is.
So Pat and Joanne and I will, I'll be an honorary lead tonight. We'll present our
Dominica.
There you go.
That is now fraught, a fraught joke in these times. So we won't go any further with that.
Okay.
But let's talk about our Christmas gift ideas. It's only we're a few days up from Christmas, but if you're like Pat's family and my family, we still give gifts on the Little Christmas on the Feast of the Epiphany, January 6th. So you could still be buying some gifts for folks after Christmas when the sales are on. So, Pat, why don't you go first and tell us what your Christmas gift ideas are this year?
Well, everybody's got portable phones and portable iPads and things like that. And especially when you're traveling or going on trips or you're out and around, very often they run out of juice at the most inopportune times. So I've had some family ask me about my devices. And what I always recommend is an Anchor charger. Now, up until now, I've been using multiple larger ones and one small one for the phone for the purse that was just like a big lipstick is what it looked like. But I think they're phasing that one out because of various things. But the two that I recommend is a 5,000 milliamp charger and a 10,000 milliamp charger. These are different than some of the others. They actually have a built-in USB cord as USB-C, as well as you can plug in additional things into the device, and it actually has the wall plug built into it, and it's real small. I've just got one this week to check out, and so it's still fairly small. You can pack it in your purse or your briefcase or whatever. But then depending upon whether you get the 5,000 or the 10,000, it may charge your phone once or twice or three times. Just depending upon how much amperage it's pulling. So the 10,000 milliamp is $45 on Amazon at the moment, and the 5,000 milliamp is $25, which is a pretty affordable tech gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we're recording that, it's $5 off coupon on that $25 one. So
that's
it's
good.
So it's under $20 is a pretty good deal for that. That's good.
Yeah, and I really like the Anchor brand. I've never had except one cable I think went wrong one time, but that's a pretty good track record on those.
Excellent.
The second thing is that for those people who have a spouse that snores, or you have a sleep talking or something like that, and you want to be able to listen to something to help you fall asleep, I had been trying headphones, I've been trying earbuds, and all of them seem to fall out and are uncomfortable. And what I found was a headband that is there's several of them, but the one that I have picked is from Musicozy is the brand, and they're a Bluetooth headband, and they've got two different types. One that's actually a sleep mask, and I don't care for that one because I can't get up in the middle of the night and see. So I like the one that's a headband that goes around the top of my head. The sides of the band go to cover the ears, and that's where the little speakers are. And the controls are right up on the top so that you can turn it on and off or adjust the volumes right with your hand on top of your head. And these are $20, and I've had one for about 6 or 8 months now, and I've been real happy with it. My only problem is I tend to lose them. So I just got a second one so that I have no chance to not be able to go to sleep. But I've got several apps that play, real sounds of the ocean and thunderstorms and things like that. So I really liked being able to use those to fall asleep. And they're also, they talk about using them for sports, like if you're on a treadmill or something like that, you could use them as well.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people, earbuds or earpods or earbuds or whatever, they tend to fall out. They just have a tendency, and they end up in the bed sheets and wrapped up in the whole thing. Whereas this is a nice, whether you're working out or trying to wear it while you're sleeping, you're not,
or sitting at your desk and somebody's got the TV on.
yeah, that's another way. Yeah, I mean it's not so loud that it wakes somebody up, right? I mean it's Randy can't hear it, so yeah, okay. There may be someone in my house who might need something like that.
Well, and it just protects you against those unwelcome sounds, that type of thing.
It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm much happier than I am with even the soft earbuds that were not supposed to hurt. Earbuds just tend to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the third thing I have is that everybody has a computer or a phone or something that they need to back up. And I think an inexpensive present to get people to back up their stuff, even if it's only periodically, but on an external drive, in addition to whatever they're doing for cloud backup. And typically, the ones I'm using these days are SSD, so they're very fast and they don't have moving parts that if you dropped them off the end of the counter, they're not going to die as easily as the spinning hard drives. And the 1 terabyte from SanDisk is $79. The 2 terabyte is about $125. And I had to get one of these from one of my clients, a 4 terabyte, extremely rugged one, for a client that does traveling around the world and does records audios of things around the world, and she needed something that she could not damage easily and that would hold video, a lot of it. And that one's $299. Yeah. But if somebody really had something that they wanted to ship to somebody and they wanted no chance of it getting damaged in shipping, that would be a good choice.
4 terabytes for an SSD of that, and also rugged. That $299 is not a bad price. That's actually, it's amazing how prices have come down over the years.
Yeah, because it used to be that an SSD was something that you only got if you had to, and the smallest one you could get.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we finally got to the point where the prices are coming down. I mean, $300 is not an impulse buy, but for something like this, which it's ruggedized, it's 4 terabytes, it's water and dust resistant and all that sort of stuff. You can take it on a trip outdoors with you with some confidence, I think that's a pretty good deal. But even the other ones, a 1 terabyte drive or a 2 terabyte drive, and then you could set up a backup software on their computer for them that backs up their most important documents, the
Right.
photos or the documents and that sort of stuff. That's separate from the cloud. We know that the cloud backups are there, but having a separate local backup is key. Yep. Excellent.
Well, and there's so many of my people that I'm meeting for the first time that have never done a backup on their computer, and I shudder.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's two kinds of people who have lost data and people who are going
Backing
to
up.
lose data. Yeah. So back up your data. So excellent. Those are some good gift suggestions of a variety of price points, and that's really nice. Give people a lot of options. Joanne, what have you got for gift ideas?
Well, being the cord cutter that I am, and this time of year, I hear a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth because we can't find our favorite holiday movies on streaming or over the air. So I am going to advocate for get all of them on Blu-ray or DVD. They make great presents. I'm sure they run from a range of prices right now, but you can't be sure that somebody isn't going to put them behind a paywall like Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
You know, they have Charlie Brown right now, and that's the one I got my husband for Christmas because
that's it's on Apple TV Plus, but it's not behind the paywall.
Well, it's I use that loosely. You have to. They do show it. They do show it for like what, 1 weekend or 2 weekends.
Oh, like a free weekend. Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And other things like Miracle on 34th Street.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to watch The Christmas Story, they have it on for 24 hours. On FX. But, I'm hearing more and more people say, I can't find that movie anymore, or that Christmas. I used to like to watch The Little Drummer Boy, and I can't get it this year.
Yeah.
Or like Rudolph went to NBC, and if you're not watch it, you don't have NBC on your over the air right now, you don't watch it. So do yourself a favor and your family a favor and friends. Get them the ones they love so they have them all the time. I mean, whether you rip them like me onto something else or just play them on your whatever device you happen to have. Yeah. Christmas movies are becoming they're a source of comfort at this time of year and people. It's tradition, and so that's why I'm going to advocate for that. Buy whatever and don't buy Die Hard because it's really not a Christmas movie.
Even for people who don't have a Blu-ray or DVD player, even if you can buy it like off of the Apple, it used to be the iTunes store, whatever they call it these days. I can never keep up with the terminology. Buy it so that, or buy it on Amazon. Don't rent it, but buy it and have it in your account so that you can at least access it. That doesn't guarantee that they won't take it away someday, because they can. That's the weird thing about the system. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But it's better than like not being able to access it at all. Like being able to at least knowing that you have it somewhere. I think that's true. I want my kids to be able to appreciate these classic works of art, which is what a lot of them are. They're works of art.
I mean, the original Scrooge from like 1940 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get Alistair Sim. They very rarely will play it, or they'll play it at like 2:00 in the morning.
I know.
Or on some obscure Plex station. So it's like, get them. If these are the ones that your family likes, get them, save them, pass them down. I'm sure this physical media will be around for at least another 50 years, hopefully.
Right. And if you figure out how to rip a DVD or Blu-ray, it'll last even longer. So,
and if somebody doesn't have one, the DVD players are pretty inexpensive these days to plug into an existing, because a lot of computers don't have existing DVD players. TVs might, obviously, but some people may not have bought a DVD player, so that would be something another member of the family could get them.
And
Blu-ray player. Yeah, I'd get a Blu-ray these days.
Yeah, right, because it'll play both. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I go on Amazon. They're like $65 or $70. So
they go anywhere between 60 and like 130, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of whiz bang features either. So
no.
No.
Excellent. So what else do you have?
Second thing, again, for those of you who like to play with hard disks, I'm going to be, my little NAS has gotten almost full. We're at 95%. So I have to buy new disks. Now, I bought a couple of new disks, but what am I going to do with the old ones? I was able to get a Sabrent USB 3.0 external docking drive to put the old disk in and still use it somewhere as storage, because I have a redundant two drive Synology. Mm-hmm. One of those disks I'm going to put away somewhere with everything that's on it now, but the other one I want to be able to repurpose and use somewhere. This little housing, what came, I guess it was The Verge had it as their top pick of these types of drives, and it's only $25.
Yeah, I've used Sabrent for quite a while, and they've been pretty good.
Yeah, it comes highly recommended. I can't wait to, put it in there and clean it off and use it for something else. But this way, you don't have disks just hanging around.
According to the webpage, it says that it takes any 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drive, the thin drives, the thick drives, it takes them all. So
and SSD as well. Then you're saying,
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, I've had several people that say maybe their old computer died, and so they had to pull out the drive, and it was an SSD. So I had a client the other day who had never talked to me, but he had a little case for his SSD, so that way he got extra storage now that he's on a new computer. So,
and I've used cases for older 2.5 hard drives.
Oh yeah, me too.
From laptops. So it's not that hard to put in and plug in and use again. So it's right. Everybody thinks that's like alchemy. No, it's not. This is
plug and play.
It is plug and play until it doesn't. But it is
until it dies. Yeah, until the drive dies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
And my third one has to be the iPhone 16 Pro. I was able to, that was my big buy this year. And I got the bottom one, 128 gig, nothing too much fancy, but this thing is quite the little machine. And I will say it that way.
I fell in love with it.
Well, here's the caveat. If you're upgrading from 14 to 16, the learning curve isn't too bad. If you're upgrading from a 13 or a 12, there's enough new stuff there on top of iOS 18 that it can drive some of us older folks a little bonkers. And I don't say that very lightly because I'm pretty savvy, but it's taken me a while to try to maneuver everything that's in here. And I'm kind of glad that they're rolling out Apple Intelligence slowly.
Yeah.
Because it's so much to understand now. So, but the phone itself, having that fifth button dedicated to the camera is priceless.
Yeah.
It really is. It works not just as a shutter, but as a, that's what's controlling your zoom. That's also now being used as a, in the intelligence, it's telling you what you're looking at if you don't know what you're looking at. So having that button dedicated is great, and not having to try to find it on the screen and hit it when you're trying to do everything else.
Okay.
And if the person you're buying the gift for is on an iPhone 13 or older, they can't do any of the Apple Intelligence stuff.
Right.
So this makes this an especially good gift for them. An Apple 16 or 16 Pro, or even a 15 can do it as well. And they're still selling those if you're on a budget. But getting someone from 13 to 15 or 16, we're going to be talking about a headline later about Apple Intelligence and the usefulness of it. But that's the future. It's where we're going no matter what. And so, getting someone on, it's almost like this. Every once in a while, there's one of these barriers as we make the great leap forward in technology of any particular technology, and this is one of them. And it's going to be the people who. It's almost like the Apple Silicon versus Intel Macs. When they had that transition, everybody who's on Apple Silicon will tell you, "Wow, this was a huge leap." And it's sort of the same way with the Apple Intelligence stuff. So if someone's still on an older phone, getting them to a newer phone is going to be a big deal, a big leap for them.
But I've prided myself in being able to move from device to device. This is the first time I'm looking at it going, okay, do I totally understand everything this thing's trying to do? Because
I think you have to be slow about moving into the things. You can't expect to know it all at once. Yeah.
This one, especially coming from a 13 to a 16.
Yeah.
So I've cautioned a lot of older friends, maybe you want to go to the 15 first.
Or just don't try to do everything. I mean, everything that worked the way it did on your old phone is still there, pretty much. So, you don't have to leap into all the new stuff right away.
You don't have to turn it on. You can just say, don't turn on Apple Intelligence or don't do some of these things.
Yeah. But the first thing I did was dedicate that other button to the flashlight. Because trying to find my flashlight half the time was a pain. Now I have a button that just lets me do the flashlight and I'm good. Okay. And then the control center is a whole new.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, they've expanded
It's not just one. You can have 5, 6 control centers. But it's a solid device. It's one that I know I'll probably have for 3 or 4 years now. And yes, folks, the camera is better.
Yeah.
If you're looking for that camera, it always does do a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. So thank you for your gift ideas. Now I'll give mine. The last few weeks, mine have been mostly digital tech related. I'm going to kind of go off the script a little bit with some, because, doing this every week, I have to
run out.
I'm running out. So I've got some that I think they qualify as technology of a sort of, more, analog than not. But for the first one, 2 of these are going to be, barbecue and grilling related. And the first one is sort of tech related in the sense of it's called the Smarter Scrubber, and it's a grill brush, and it's one of these new grill brushes that they're all trying to get away from using the wire brush, the wire bits, because the wire bits break off and you're afraid of getting it in your food or swallowing it and that sort of thing. I've tried a bunch of different things. There's that sponge one that everyone you see all over social media, at least all over my social media, that, it's the best thing ever. And it's like, you're kind of steaming it and it gets dirty really quick, and it hasn't been great. But this one, the Smarter Scrubber, it has a little bit of a tech background because it was created by Destin from the Smarter Everyday YouTube channel, one of the big YouTubers out there. And he's an engineer by trade. And he set out to engineer a product, but not just to create a product, but to create a product that would be completely manufactured in the U.S. All the parts, everything in this is made in the USA. It's a completely USA product. And because he's been doing a series, which would be very interesting for anyone, on manufacturing in the United States, especially small business manufacturing. And he's been to various factories and talking about tool and die manufacturing and injection molding and all these different kinds of manufacturing that we still do in the US. So it's a very interesting series. And so a lot of that actually shows up in this product. And it's a really nice, and the way it scrubs is that it has a round head with a chainmail sort of looking scrubbing surface, and the head actually comes off, and you can use it by hand to without the handle to work with if you need to get into tight spaces. And it's got the head that fits right into the grill grates and all that sort of stuff. It's all that stuff. And I got one, and it's sturdy. It's steel. There's no, the handle is like nice, heavy duty steel. It's solid. So it's a great little product. So, that would be nice. Anybody who does any grilling or barbecuing, would love to find that under their tree or in their stocking. The next one is, I know a lot of people have one of these. I'm involved in scouting with my kids. So many scouts have these, the Blackstone griddles. And Blackstone has a whole bunch of different sizes. They have portable camping ones, which I see a lot with the scouts. And they have the others like this one I'm going to link to in the show notes, the 4-burner propane gas hardtop griddle. And I've for years, I've been an advocate of, charcoal grilling. I love to grill over charcoal. I love the smell and flavor of charcoal grilling. And I won't stop charcoal grilling, but sometimes you need the convenience of turn the button, turn the knob, press the button, and you're cooking. And I've had a gas grill, and that works okay. So I find the gas grills, at least around here where I live, they tend to rust out pretty quickly, unless you get the super expensive ones. And even those, I don't know, maybe those rust out pretty quickly too. But I only get a few years out of mine. So with this, it's a flat top griddle, so sort of like at your local diner, that sort of thing. And it's really great for burgers and steaks and making a whole mess of stuff like, peppers and onions or hash browns or eggs or pancakes. Or we use them all the time in scouting. We have in my kids' scout troop, they have like Camp Chef's brand, but the Blackstones look really nice for home use. I mean, Camp Chef is not a bad one either. Honestly, they're both pretty good. And this one at the Tractor Supply store is only $250, which is pretty darn cheap for what you're getting. It's a 36-inch griddle. It does require a little bit of care, special care. You have to season the griddle top, and you have to make sure it doesn't get rusty and that sort of stuff. But that's, if you own outdoor cooking equipment, that's par for the course. So I'm going to recommend as a gift idea, but a pretty good gift idea, the Blackstone 4-burner griddle. And then finally, in the past year and a half, I've become a Costco dad. I eschewed the big box warehouse membership stores for many years. My mom had a BJ's, which is an East Coast store, BJ's membership when I was a kid. And I always thought, like, why do we need these giant containers of things? Like, there's more mayonnaise than we'll ever eat in a year in this jar. But I finally gave it a shot, and I realized especially for a big Catholic family, a big family like mine, I've got 5 kids, 4 of them teenagers. Buying things in bulk at a discount is actually a pretty good thing. So there's all, for food and that sort of stuff, it's great. But Costco has a lot of great tech products. I really have to say, I mean, they're not always cheaper than, say, Amazon, but they're an alternative. And that's one of the things I've been trying to be more mindful of this year, is just not pull all my eggs in one basket. If I can shop at, Walmart.com, whoever imagined the day when Walmart would become the upstart competitor to the big retailer. But, if they get a better deal, or in this case, Costco, and I go to Costco regularly enough where they carry Anchor stuff. They carry I'm trying to think of the different brands, all like the, not Eero because that's Amazon, but, Ubiquity routers and, Netgear. They have all of the brands. They have Apple stuff. They have, not Dell.
They've got Dell.
They have Dell. Okay. I was trying to think of what the different,
HP maybe.
Yeah. And they got gaming PCs, and they get all kinds of tech stuff there, from the very inexpensive to the very, very expensive, and the giant TVs. I don't have a wall big enough for an 80-inch TV. I don't know who's buying these, what kind of house you have, but
bigger than ours.
Not us.
That would be a wall in my house, literally. So a Costco membership as a gift to someone is a great idea, a great deal. And then you can use it for other things. I bought tires for our van last year, and I'm going to get, and it was actually a really good deal because while the tires cost as much as they would have at my local mechanic, the installation was free, which saved me over $100. So consider getting a Costco or Sam's Club or BJ's or whatever membership store you have.
And what I've found from my clients is that a lot of times you go looking for a computer or something like that, and it may not be cheaper, but you get higher specs on it. For instance, it might have more memory or a larger hard drive than the same one you would buy from Best Buy or someplace like that. So they may have a better warranty, because I think Costco stands behind their products really well.
They do.
That's better than Best Buy and some of the other places. So
one of the things. Go ahead, Joanne.
we've been trying to get a Costco down here in Rhode Island, and we can't seem to get one. And I guess the closest one to me would be where yours is.
I see a lot of Rhode Island plates in our parking lot. Yeah.
Sam's is another good alternative, although I don't think they have probably as good a specs as the Costco ones that my clients have bought. But usually you can, again, find, like, instead of an i5 with 8 gig of memory, you might find an i7 with 16 gigs of memory for around the same price. That type of thing.
One of the things I've heard about Costco when they sell an item in the store, especially if they use their in-house Kirkland brand on it, but they do for other products as well, they'll sometimes insist that the manufacturer make the version that they sell better, and it will be the same price or cheaper. So, for example, a lot of this is kind of a little off the topic, but a lot of over-the-counter medications like allergy meds and stuff like that, I buy them there because they're way cheaper, and they're often made in the same factory assembly line as the name brand, and they will have more of the active ingredient in it if you look at the packaging. So it's more effective, it's better. So Flonase, which is a fluticasone, which is a nasal spray for allergy and that sort of stuff. It's like $50 for the regular retail package. The same amount is $11.
Or you get 7 of them for $50 or something like that. Yeah, we do the same thing with a lot of fluticasone being one of them. But there's a lot of things we just get there because you're getting a better or as good a product at a lot cheaper price. Right.
I'm not getting paid to share this, folks.
We're not.
I don't have an affiliate code or anything like that. This is just an honest appraisal. But from the tech perspective, it's a nice, if you have someone in your life who's a techie who likes to buy tech stuff, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get them a membership there. That would to help them save a few bucks on their tech. Or if you have a membership, do your tech shopping there, at least compare and see. So those are our gift ideas. And that kind of concludes our gift idea of extravaganza for 2024. We'll be back again next year. I know that we had some of our panelists who couldn't be with us on the different episodes, including Father Andrew, who wanted to be here, but this is sort of a busy time of year for priests. I don't know.
Something about that.
They got stuff going on. So he couldn't join us, but hopefully next year we can get them on, maybe get them on earlier in the season and share some of their gift ideas. But we'll have all of these links to all of our gift ideas for all of our weeks and a link to our document. We have a Google Doc that of all the gift ideas going back to 2019 when we started this. So I'll share those in our show notes. All right. So now we want to take a moment before we move on to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of technology, including James N., Eric B., Tim C., Declan M., and Adam R. Their generous tax-deductible donations, tax-deductible, it's that time of year, folks. Their tax-deductible donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. This StarQuest show is also brought to you by Exodus 90 and the Exodus 90 app. Men, we are called to share the hope and joy of Jesus Christ. Our family, friends, and community desperately need us to imitate our Lord to be radically present and available. What if you intentionally live this Advent season differently, focused not on buying Christmas presents, but sharing the loving presence of Jesus Christ? We want to invite you to join us on the Exodus 90 app and break out of the religion of the world. Join the men of Exodus 90 and Monsignor James Shea, president of the University of Mary, who's our spiritual guide for Advent this year on the Exodus 90 app. Together, we will rediscover the hope that God lays out for us in the coming of his Son into the world. Go to exodus90.com/SQPN to learn more about Advent on the Exodus 90 app. That's exodus90.com/SQPN to join men from around the world this Advent starting December 1st. Be radically free in Jesus Christ this Advent. Joanne, was that your jaw hitting the table on how wonderful of an idea the tax-deductible donation would be?
Yes. I won't tell you what it really was.
Oh.
So let's move on to our headlines. And our first headline, Joanne, you shared this one with us. This is again, a local story for you. The headline in the local PRI.com website is McKee urges Rhode Island residents to act immediately after major cyber attack on state system. This is Rhode Island's Governor McKee. So what's going on, Joanne?
Oh, man, we've had a cyber attack by a group called Brain Cipher. And they went in and got about, what they're saying is hundreds of thousands of accounts for people who use Medicaid, for people who use supplemental nutrition, for temporary assistance for needy families. We're talking people.
Any of the state programs. Yeah.
The Health Source RI. Okay. Which is people who buy their insurance from the government. And general public assistance programs. A lot of these people are either elderly or needy. So they're all now in this system. And I think what's tweaking me a little bit as a techie is they're saying, well, now you need to go and put two-factor authentication. And I'm sitting there going, they don't know, might not know what that is. Would you like to explain it to them? Right. I mean, these people, I had somebody come to my house and say, are you and Kevin affected by this? And I'm like, no, none of those. We have Medicare now, but not Medicaid. But I see a potential problem here because these are people who can't afford things, yet this hacker group now has all their information.
Yeah.
And some of them may not be able to, shield themselves from any of this. Plus, they keep saying, and we haven't heard yet whether or not they've released all these. I'm sitting there going, they probably already have. Yeah. They don't care.
Well, what they're threatening is to release it if they don't get paid the ransom, and I guess that's being negotiated by Deloitte, which is the company that's behind it.
And they're a huge problem because when they came into the state and did this originally, they did it wrong and upset the entire apple cart. So then they fixed it. But apparently there was still, I guess the Auditor General for the last couple of years has been saying, you have a problem. And you need to fix it. And no one listened to the tech guy. So
Deloitte's the contractor that set up the computer systems that run all of these state services. And I saw where they've shut down the online portal. So everyone has to file paperwork
now,
physically paperwork. They have to go and hand in pieces of paper with like barbarians.
but it's what has happened is you're asking, because of progress, asked everybody to at least have a little bit of knowledge and trust the system with their information, and electronically. And now the system has failed. And this hacker group picked a very small state to do it in.
Yep.
So if they're successful here, exactly. If they're successful here, what's next?
Right.
Well, and what that really means, too, is that all of this information, we've been already having this problem, all of these breaches with, I know, our medical systems were, attacked and all that, is people have to be warned that any email, any phone call, any text, even snail mail, you can't trust the source. You've got to say, just because they've got my account number, my social security number, my last bill, doesn't mean they're the real people. And that's the hardest thing. I'm getting call after call after call from my clients because some of them are smart enough to say, hey, I better check on this. And a lot of them say, well, sure, it's from them. It's got the right logo and all that,
Right.
No, it's not.
As I've said before many times, everyone should freeze their credit. You should freeze your credit.
Oh, yes, in addition to that, yeah.
And until whether you've had a breach or not, and frankly, at this point, I think everybody's had a breach, but everyone should freeze their credit and only unfreeze it when they need to, get a new card or get a loan or whatever. It's free to freeze your credit at the three major credit services. There's no cost. It's freezing and unfreezing is a relatively easy process. You can tell them unfreeze it for 24 hours so you don't have to remember to freeze it back up again after you're done with it and that sort of thing. But at this point, it should be. I mean, that should really be the default. Is is everyone's credit, should be frozen until they take positive steps to unfreeze it, because it's just out of control. This sort of
and don't
stuff.
Trust that whoever is sending you something is the real person. That's the other thing.
Yep.
I just feel for these people because, again, they're the folks who may not be as tech savvy. And now their local governments here are starting to, like East Providence had senior citizens in today to try to, and brought people in to explain it and go step by step with them.
Right.
But we have 39 cities and towns. That might not sound like a lot, but it is here. And, you know, are they going to be able to do that with everybody? And what's going to be the repercussion down the road if some of these people, they're not the type of people that are going to go, you know, sue people when these things happen or try to get if their identity goes. Some of them have kids, some of them are elderly. You know, this is really going to rack people up if this goes to the nth degree, which we don't know if it is or isn't yet.
Right.
Well, and so many places are beginning to push two-factor authentication, and it's a good thing. We all know it is. But for my 85-year-olds, trying to juggle between getting a code on their phone when they're only using a phone and trying to get the email at the same time, it's become so it's going to lock people out.
Yeah, it is.
And it's too confusing.
And with two-factor, I'm a big proponent of authenticators rather than having another code sent to you. But then who understands some folks don't understand what an authenticator is. Right.
And trying to give another app to somebody who's just already overwhelmed. You know, I had one yesterday that it sounded like I had to go ahead with Microsoft. I didn't have any other way to turn on two-factor without an application.
Right.
In other words, they are saying, no, two-factor is, we need the app. You can't use the phone or email anymore.
Right. You have to have the app, the Microsoft app or whatever installed in your phone. Google's the same way. You know, they send Google's is kind of nice because they send a notification to whatever Google app is installed, and if you get Gmail or Google.
If they're logged into it. Some of my people aren't logged into that other.
Or YouTube or...
Right.
Yeah, whatever. But
they have to be logged in. Right.
Now, I think Microsoft buried in their stuff when you're doing it, they will let you use another authenticator. But it's still an authenticator app that most people just would have no way of knowing how to use it.
There's a future where we're free of authenticators and passwords and all that sort of stuff. We will have pass keys and biometrics and that sort of stuff.
We're just in a bad time,
but we're not there yet. We're in transition to that, and it's confusing and difficult now. That's a 5 or 10 years down the road thing. That's not a today thing. And getting from here to there is going to be bumpy, and a lot of people are going to get hurt in the meantime because of these really bad actors out there. And these aren't just script kiddies in their parents' basement. These are organized cyber criminal gangs. The sort of cyber criminal gang that attacks a whole state is probably located somewhere in Europe or in Asia. And they're bankrolled by guys who we would, like in the old days would be like Vinny the Nose. You know what I mean? They're gangsters,
or the Russian mafia,
the Russian mob,
or their governments.
Or their governments. Yeah. North Korea is notoriously bad for this sort of hacking thing. That's how they get money is through ransomware. So it's bad. So let's move on to another headline, which this comes from the Federal Trade Commission. This is some good news out of the government for once, which is they've issued a new rule that, as they say, targets bait and switch pricing for live event tickets and short-term lodging. So do you ever try to buy a ticket, say, from Ticketmaster or rent a hotel room from Hotels.com or Airbnb, and you say, the ticket is this much because it's this big number that they put in their ad. And then you go and then you go to check out and it's like, but then you got to have the service fee and convenience fee and the fee and the every fee and all the fees and, the fee for having more fees. And it adds up and you're like, I saw a meme once where it was like an Airbnb was advertised at $85 a night. They stayed there for 3 nights and it turned out to be $900.
Yeah.
How does that math work? Well, it was all the fees. Well, the Federal Trade Commission has issued this new junk fees rule, which requires the bottom line being that they're prohibited from deceiving consumers about fees and pricing. that they've already been prohibited from doing that. But what they're required to do is they cannot exclude when they have an advertised price. It has to be
total
the price. It has to be. There cannot be like they can put shipping and handling fees next to it, but the largest right. But the largest price, advertised price, that physically advertised, physically large on the page, has to be the all-in price. They can't be put it in small type down below and have the bit without the fees, and they have to have the all-in price, including shipping and taxes and all that stuff, before you enter your payment information, not after. That was another part of the rule. Okay. So what do y'all think? Have you encountered this problem before? Has this been an issue? Do you think this sort of thing is going to solve anything for us?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, it could sure help, like some of the going to a large town, and when you're checking out, it's like, well, there's because we're in a high rent district or we're in an entertainment district, we get these other fees tacked on. Yeah, that would be nice not to. And as you say, going to Travelocity or whatever to have an accurate fee there, you could do a better comparison of where you want to stay for the price. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to buy concert tickets like I am right now, and you see the price, and then like John was saying, you have the fee for the venue, then you have the fee because you're not printing a ticket, then you have the fee for, the convenience
using a credit card.
Yep, for the credit card. Yeah, it's like, so my $125 ticket to see Barry Manilow becomes $250.
Yeah.
Right.
When all said and done.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that drives me crazy is it's like, oh, here's the ticket price. But then it's like for a convenience fee, I'm not sure whose convenience it is for using a credit card. Well, are you going to take cash through the website? Like, how else am I supposed to pay? It's just, it's kind of, it's crazy.
We'll send you a load of pennies.
Right.
There you go.
You know what your cost is. Like, this is just
built into the total price. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bait and switch. So, yeah. And it's the same way. That's one of the things that has annoyed me greatly about Airbnb is how often, you get things like cleaning fees. Well, why is there a separate cleaning fee? Then what's the nightly rate paying for?
Right.
You just put that in the price of the lodging. Just build it in. Stop. Being deceptive.
They're afraid the other person or the other competitor won't build it in, and they'll look worse.
Right.
But if the law is there to protect it, then that should help.
Let's hope so.
Well, and Airbnb should have been dealing with this and making their own rules internally about these sorts of things, because it is kind of ridiculous. I've heard anecdotally that fewer people are. No, how do I put this? A lot of people are going back to staying in hotels instead of Airbnbs because of the nonsense surrounding. The deceptive stuff and
the cameras that are hidden in them too.
Right. And the stupid rules where you have to clean up before you leave and you're still paying a cleaning fee. Like if I go to a hotel, I don't have to change the sheets and do the laundry. It's like I could just go to a hotel and leave at the end. So
right.
All right. So that's that headline. Let's move on to our last one. And this, I kind of referred to that we were going to talk about this before. This is from 9to5 Mac, and it says most iPhone owners see little to no value in Apple Intelligence so far. And so the survey was done by a tech trade-in site called SellCell, surveying iPhone users and Samsung users, by the way. They surveyed them both. And Samsung, iPhone users showed relatively higher interest in mobile AI than Samsung users, as almost half, 47.6% of iPhone users reported AI features as a very or somewhat important deciding factor when buying a new phone, versus 23.7% of Samsung users. So people buying iPhones are doing so because they think mobile AI is important, a feature in it. But once they have the phone, they're not quite as impressed. And now, keep in mind, this survey was done before the latest iOS 18.2 was out with some of the newer features. So that's important to recognize. But most people are unsatisfied with the existing AI features that they have so far. They rank the popularity of some of the features that were available prior to 18.2. The writing tools, apparently 72% popular, were popular among the 72% of people. Notification summaries, priority messages, cleanup in photos. I'm
that's okay.
Apple user. Smart reply and mail-in messages. That is in descending order. Only 20%, think highly of that. What do you all think? How have you been using? We're all iPhone users here. Have you been using? And this, I'm sorry, as I hedge constantly. This applies beyond iPhone users because all of these things are available to Android and other users. These AI intelligence features. So that said, have you been using these features? Have they improved your life? Have they? What do you think about them?
Well, they confused me when they come in. The biggest case in point of confusion I've had is when 18.2 came in and started rearranging how my mail was being treated.
I turned that off.
Whoa, I did too. Yeah. I turned it off. I said, no, until I can learn you, I don't want to do this right now, because I was seeing nothing in my boxes, but yet in my unread said 24. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay, right. You want to be intelligent and do these things, fine, but don't default it at that. Default it off.
Yeah. Google did the same thing on their Gmail a long time ago. That putting it into different buckets. And the first thing I do when I set up a new Google account for somebody is explain that, and 90% of them say, "I don't want it. I want them all in one box." Right. So yeah,
I think
so. They made a mistake in making it the default.
Most people don't get so much email in their inbox. I mean, most of the time nowadays, the junk mail filters are filtering a lot of that junk out. I think most people just put it in one box. Let me deal with it there. I can see the utilities if you get a lot of mail and it's easily categorized into these categories, separating them into these different boxes. I can see that, but I personally don't get that much email, and I'd rather just see it all on one screen instead of having to page through different screens. It actually makes it less efficient.
Right. Well, and once I learned that if I clicked on the thing that was, like the priority one, if I clicked on that, it immediately showed me all that I can just click back and forth. That's made it a lot easier.
My particular problem is I have 5 email addresses I use for work that I monitor. So I want to see, those are the ones I have on top of my list, and I want to see those when I'm working. I don't have to see the rest of them until later, but I still need to see how many are in each one of these.
Gotcha.
So that's why when they took them all away and went to unread, I went, no, that's not a good idea. Yeah. The other features, I'm noticing that Siri is becoming a little bit more intelligent now, which is really nice.
Can do a follow-up on some things where she couldn't do before. She's
following up on stuff. She's also opening apps, at least in CarPlay now, other apps. So if I'm using WhatsApp, for example, and I say, please, call so-and-so with WhatsApp, it'll do it. Before I had to go to WhatsApp because it was not an Apple product.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Now, at least if I say call so-and-so with WhatsApp, it'll say calling so-and-so with WhatsApp.
Oh, nice.
I think the thing is, Apple had this big announcement at WWDC last June, and they showed everything that they're planning. And it seemed, wow, look at all this. It's going to change everything. But then it turned out they're going to be rolling it out over time, over a long period of time.
And that is good. Yeah.
It's good, but it also results in what we have here, which is people saying, well, it's not so much as, it's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because people are saying, well, this is it. This is all the Apple Intelligence is, all the big deal you made about it. I mean, they were advertising it as Apple Intelligence now. They were advertising before it was even anything was out in October. And people are saying, well, what? Siri still.
I didn't see anything. Yeah.
So now things are just starting to get there. But even then, some of the big features, like I like the notification summaries. That's been really good, actually.
some of them have been hysterical for me.
Yes,
the way they just kind of cut it. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And if you go through and you pick out which apps you want, you summaries are good for, and which apps you want the exact, that makes a big difference, I think, in it. The cleanup in photos has always been photo editing tools. So I really haven't noticed a big difference.
I haven't played with those. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had any, and I've tried to play with it, and it wasn't like a huge, moment. Like, oh, wow, it fixed that photo for me. I don't have a lot of photos where I need, frankly, that much fixed. If they could just remove all of the power lines whenever I have a picture with power lines, that would be just do that automatically. I would be fine with that. But Siri, is not quite there. Although with 18.2, she's getting there, and that's the big thing. Genmoji,
I don't care about that.
The kids and I had a fun evening of making silly images, and that's it. Like, I do not see the utility, but maybe, for a younger generation, the texting emoji generation is going to find it different. But for me, it was an amusing 10 minutes, and that's it.
Apple, I've noticed, I've had Bitmoji for years, and Bitmoji actually can look like me, in cartoon form. And it's great. Apple cannot get my face correct. And even with Genmoji, I said, do my face exactly the way it is in the picture. Still can't do it. I'm like, okay, fine.
My Genmoji looked pretty good, but I have a pretty generic white male face, of my age. For my wife, Melanie, they all looked bad. For my daughters, it could, like, my youngest, Lucy, all her Genmoji looked like her oldest sister, Isabella. I mean, they're sisters and they look a lot alike. I get it. But it was just, for some of the kids, it just could not get a decent image of them. So I mean, they've intentionally made the image generation stuff less realistic. They're trying to avoid that problem of being deceptive. That's a problem. Right. So they make it a little more obviously cartoonish. I just don't even see the utility with a lot of it. That's the problem.
Yeah, but so does Bitmoji. Bitmoji is it's a
cartoonish,
cartoon, but it looks more real than
recognizable.
Right, it looks more recognizable. That's a good way of putting it, Pat. Than the Apple generated one. So I'm like, and they want you to use them here, use them in, for text and they're like, no.
Well, not yet.
A big part of it is that all of it is being done on device. So it's not sending it to a super powered server farm that could throw a lot of cycles and energy at it. It all has to be done, which is why, Apple Intelligence is all on iPhone 14 and newer, I think it is. Because any phone older just doesn't have the juice, doesn't have the power to do these things. And even now, it's it's probably going to get better over the next year or so. But it's so gradual. This is the problem. This is what this survey is revealing, is this issue of we're on the verge of something, and we run the risk of people getting the idea that the AI stuff is no good before it becomes any good. Right. You know what I mean? So it's a tricky proposition. I don't envy anybody in this industry having to get people to realize it's not quite where it's going to be. We won't always have image generators that make people with 7 fingers. In fact, they've gotten better with that recently. In the last 8 months, the image generators aren't doing those weird hand things. They've figured out how to generate hands in the images, that sort of stuff. But these ideas about how they work get set early. We have a set idea. So that's what I think about with these AI tools.
Now, one of the things I've enjoyed is the email summaries. because I will have somebody who's got a long rambling email that they've sent me, and it gives me a pretty good summary of what's in there rather than having to wade through it all. I mean, I still go look at it all, but I can quickly see a summary of what's in the email rather than just the first 2 lines or something like that.
Yeah, right. I think the writing tools are going to be something that people are going to clam on to as we go forward here, because I'm learning with AI right now I've never been a great writer of letters and things like that. And I'm able to use these writing tools that I'm finding now to clean things up. And I think people are going to get a lot of, use from that, but it's going to be slow.
And I haven't played with any of the writing tools. This is just the summarizing what's already in print.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the initial writing tools in 18.1 were pretty primitive. You could only say make it funny, make it serious, make it professional. And I think if you told it to make it funny, it always started with ha or something it was very limited. And I've heard that in 18.2 and now the 18.3 betas, it's gotten a lot better, a lot more fluid, a lot less stilted, and that will get better. I've said before, I use ChatGPT every day for when I working on our shows here. I have I have to do a lot of summarizing and writing compelling, brief excerpts or descriptions of our shows so that people will click on the links and that sort of stuff. And it's a lot of work. And so I use ChatGPT to help me with that. I feed it the transcript. I tell it to think about it. You have to understand how to get it to do what you want. It's still a tool. It's not magic. But the big thing is I think this is one of the big failings is we called it artificial intelligence, and we shouldn't have done that because it's not. It is not Data from Star Trek. It is not HAL 9000. It is not any of these. It's not an artificial general intelligence. It's not a personality, that can take over the world. It's not Skynet either. These are just large language models. They're machine learning.
Right.
They're just sophisticated software that just it leaps ahead a little bit. It's remarkable what they do. It's amazing technology, but it's not a danger. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long about that, but I thought it was an interesting survey that they did, people's attitudes. So one of the things we've been talking about since we've been doing Christmas gift ideas, it seems redundant to do picks of the week. So for the past few weeks, we've been doing various of our favorite Christmas things. And this week, we're going to be talking about our favorite Christmas foods. And Joanne, why don't you tell us what your favorite Christmas food is?
Well, it's a favorite for Portuguese people at any time of year. And as I was telling them previously, this is my personal kryptonite. It's called Portuguese sweet rice or arroz doce. And believe me, it is sweet. It's rice pudding if you want to, but the Portuguese tend to also jazz it up a little bit by putting, not only all of the eggs and the sugar and the rice and the milk into it, but sometimes lemon, sometimes orange, always with cinnamon on top, and usually in very festive designs. And at any Portuguese gathering, whether it be Christmas, New Year's, whatever, 15 of your aunts will bring their version of it because everyone's version is a little different.
And mine's always better,
Yeah, exactly. And then put it out there, and you have to taste each one and then tell them who's got the best one. Good luck with that. But my mom made a different, the version that I make is definitely different than a lot of my, friends around here. And they always say, wow, yours is really sweet and creamy, because you can either put it in a pot and make it, or you can put it in the oven and it's really interesting. Ethnic foods can be really interesting. And especially from different regions, you can have the same thing called the same thing. And in every region, it's a little different. But this is a great dessert that, if I make it, I have to give it away or I will eat the entire thing.
So are you going to publish the recipe in the show notes?
I will if someone asks me to.
Okay, but I'm asking you.
But it's my mother's version.
Okay, well, you can give it her name.
Okay, and there is nothing, the calories are immense.
Right.
There are no calories at Christmas. That's just
one would hope, but
it's Christmas magic.
Yes.
Excellent. That sounds really good. It makes me want to try it. Pat, what about you? What is your favorite Christmas food?
Well, up until recently, when we had a lot of people in, this was one of the family's favorite traditions. Now that everybody's kind of moved off, I don't get to make them as much anymore. But rum balls, and it's a pretty easy recipe that Melanie actually came up with.
Yep.
And
my wife,
yes, and so I don't have all the ingredients in front of me, but it's a very simple thing to crush up the vanilla wafers and the pecans and the powdered sugar, and you get it all moist with
chocolate
and vanilla and cocoa and so
rum.
And yes, and lots of rum, but you don't want it to be soggy. So what you do is you make it once, and then you kind of put a little bit more on a little later with a spritzer or something, so that it stays moist enough. But yeah, this has always been one of our traditions, is rum balls. Yes,
I have to be the happy recipient of being able to have some of those, and they are quite a fine Christmas tradition, and they're very good. They're very Joanne, like you said, they're very dangerous. We can't have them all in our house because I will be. You'll find me under the tree, surrounded by an empty container where the rum balls used to be.
Yeah, I think Teresa made this mistake of taking some to school in high school, and the teachers said she got high on them.
Jeez.
Oh man, so that's excellent. So mine is I'm going to say my favorite Christmas food. The Feast of Seven Fishes. Now, this is, I think some people have heard about it. This is a Sicilian tradition of, on Christmas Eve, you have a feast where seven fishes are served. If anyone's seen the TV show The Bear, there's an episode where we see them making a feast like this. Ours have never been like that. They've never ended up with a car driving through the front door. Spoilers.
I'm glad.
Show. But we do a variation on this, which is we live in New England, so we have easy access to amazing seafood and especially lobsters. So this is one of probably 2 times a year that we get lobsters for the whole family. And so I go out on Christmas Eve and go to our local lobster pound and bring home lobsters. We usually have shrimp, and at times I made Portuguese bacala stew. I made that one year. Other times I've made stuffed clams or stuffed quahogs.
No clam chowder.
We've had clam chowder, but it's usually canned because clam chowder takes a while. Well, to make it right, it takes time. I actually made it recently, and it's so good. But so lobster is my favorite Christmas food. Is kind of funny to say, I think, for folks who aren't from around here, but that's what it is. It's the Feast of Seven Fishes with lobster at the center of it. It is fantastic, and I look forward to it every year. It's really actually a tradition as an adult. We didn't really have this as a kid as much. My mom was overwhelmed on Christmas Eve. She wasn't making a big feast of food. So Christmas Day was our big feast. In any case, I think, yes. What were you going to say, Pat?
No, I just said it sounds good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you said it wasn't always 7. Sometimes it was 5.
Yes, sometimes it was symbolically or 7 or through the heart. Eventually, Melanie said, "Look, we're having a lot of food on the table for this family. Can we make it just say it's 7 and have maybe 3?" And
right.
So I said, "Yes, as long as we have lobster, I don't care about how many other things we have."
And you can title it whatever you want. Exactly. 7 fishes is fine.
The Portuguese have their version of it where they have fish on Christmas Eve and then meat on Christmas Day. So it's not 7 courses.
Yeah. And seven's a lot. And it's symbolic of, the various sevens in the Bible, 7 sacraments and the, 7 days of creation and that sort of thing. So, it is symbolic. All right. So that'll do it for us this time. We would love to hear what you thought of any part of our discussion or what your favorite Christmas food is. We'd love to hear from you or let us know what techie Christmas gifts you get, because our next show will be after Christmas. We'd love to hear what you get for Christmas or what you get anyone. So let us all know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send us an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. You'll find those links from our discussion, our picks of the week, and our Christmas gift guide on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC282. That's TEC282. Remember to like each episode of Secrets of Tech wherever you find us on Facebook. We're on X at SQPN. Leave us comments. Until next time, Joanne Mercier, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks, Dom, and Merry Christmas.
And Pat Scott, thank you as well.
Great to be here, and Merry Christmas to all of y'all.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest, and Merry Christmas. Hi, folks. This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. Over the years, the StarQuest network has continued to grow as a unique Catholic apostolate, bringing faith and culture together in ways that educate, inspire, and entertain. We're thrilled to have so many loyal supporters whose generosity makes all our shows possible. It's also a reality that over time, some of our supporters will step away from their giving. It is also true that the financial support that sustains this mission currently comes from fewer than 1% of those who enjoy our podcasts and videos. If we're to continue producing this life-changing content and expanding to reach new people, we urgently need new supporters to join us and current supporters to increase their assistance. This Advent and Christmas, the time when nonprofits like ours receive most of their support for the year, we're asking you to prayerfully consider becoming part of the StarQuest mission or increasing your support. Every gift of every size has a lasting impact. To make your tax-deductible gift, please visit sqpn.com/give. That's sqpn.com/give. Thank you for being part of the StarQuest family, and may God bless you abundantly this Advent and Christmas season.